So there is a middle school band practice going on in that room. I don't know if you're gonna hear it, but I hear it. So I'm sorry if you hear it. But I've been like restringing the guitars in my practice room at my school, and I'm done. I finished the last one, and I just came up with this little thing, and I thought I'd show you. Laying like a tiger, sleeping like a prince. It hides within you, dazzling as it is. When you finally release it to the sea, your mother will cry, but you'll finally be free. That's all I have right now, but I thought I would tell you how I came up with it, because whenever I restring guitars, I always play that, like, these chords, because they're really easy to like strum really loud, and I like to strum a lot, so then you can make sure that the guitar is like staying in tune, even if you're playing it really hard, or it'll fall out of tune and you can just tune it again and again. I realized that these chords I got them from, normally I play them like, that, because I got them from Some Bleach Flies by Ethel Cain, of course. If it's meant to be, then it will be. So I met him there and I told him I believe. If it's meant to be, then it will be. I forgive it all as it comes back to me. And I just love those chords so much, and that's how I came up with them. And I just took them and I just played them differently. I mean, like, I've been starting to write songs. Every song I write is using those chords right now, because that's what I'm at. But I'll get better. And if I finish this song, I'll post the whole song. Yeah, I love that part of that song. And when I saw her live, someone was playing one of her guitarists was playing that riff during that section, which I thought was so cool. And also evident, because all the songs on that album are like those three chords. I don't know if all of them, but Some Bleach Flies, the long one, Thoroughfare, and American Teenager are all those chords. So I think that's interesting. But I love that section of that song. It meant a lot to me. I remember I was in Amherst, Massachusetts, because my sister was graduating from college and she went to UMass. And my parents have friends that are like professors at UMass. They have this really pretty house like in the woods, and one of them had one of those, like, what is it, a baritone ukulele? One of those ukuleles that's like just the top 4 strings of the guitar. And I was playing it, and I was in a really like weird place, like mentally, at that point in my life. And I figured out that those chords were the chords to Some Bleach Flies, which is a song at the time that I didn't really understand why everyone liked it so much. I mean, I loved Ethel Cain, and I loved all the music she made, but that song specifically, like, I felt like it spoke to a lot of people, but I didn't really understand it. And I was just playing, and I was playing, and it was stuck in my head. And during the, like, little grad party that my parents held for my sister at, like, the sorority house she was living in, where all of her friends that were also graduating, like, their parents were there, and, like, my sister was hanging out with her friends, and my parents were hanging out with their parents, and I was, like, the only child there. This was, like, 3 years ago. I just left the party. I just left, which I thought, which is just, like, kind of iconic of me, I feel like. I left the party, and I was just walking down a random street in Amherst, And I was singing it to myself that if it's meant to be, then it will be. And I like finally understood it. I finally understood what that section meant. I wasn't really raised religious, so I blame that for the reason why I didn't really understand it. But I finally understood it because Ethel Cain is like, the character is like talking to God, right? And she met him there, and I told him I believe, right? Like she meets God and she tells God that she believes, and then she says, I forgive it all as it came back to me. She's still talking to God. So I like forgive it all. And I find that so empowering as a character for her to say that, because I feel like in Ethel Cain's entire story, she has like no agency over herself, right? Like she's just being abused by all the men in her life. And for her to finally talk to God, who's like the ultimate man, who's like in charge of like her whole life, and has basically been the reason that Ethel Cain has never found peace. She tells God that she believes in him, but then she forgives God for what he did to her. At least that's how I interpret it. I mean, I don't know how, like, you know, Hayden like and like meant it when she wrote it, but that's what it means to me. It's like she's looking at God and she's like, I forgive you. And when she forgives God, she takes all of the power away from him, because the reason God holds all the power is because he has the power of forgiveness, and forgiveness is like one of the only things that like you can't give yourself. And Ethel Cain forgives God, which is her like, I'm representative of her like finally taking control of her narrative and like being like, God, I I forgive you. I'm in control. I forgive Isaiah. I forgive Willoughby. I forgive everyone, Father Cain or whatever. Like, she forgives everyone in her story, and she finally knows peace because now she holds the power over a story. She holds the power of forgiveness. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I feel like a lot of preachers' daughters told in the past tense. It almost feels like Ethel Cain like looking back at her life, and for her to look back at her life and to reflect on everything that happened and to realize that she wasn't the problem, it was everyone else was the problem. They were like, she was a victim of abuse, like she was a victim of circumstance. She had no control over herself or how people were treating her. And for her to look at that and be like, to see that clearly and then decide to forgive everybody, is her finally knowing peace and her finally taking control of her narrative. And that's why that part of that song is like so epic. And I saw Ethel Cain at Central Park Summer Stage years ago, probably like a year after my sister graduated. I don't remember. I have a really bad perception of time, but I was like watching her sing it, and the trees were lit up, and Central Park was dark, and they had these lights in the trees, and everyone was singing it, and it was just like glorious. It was glorious. I have a video of it. I'll put it at the end of this video. And that meant a lot to me, and that really helped me through a lot. I feel like Ethel Cain's story is very resonant to a lot of people, like whether you grew up in the church or like whether you're queer or transgender, or like whether you're like a woman. I feel like there's a lot there to empathize with, and I feel like that specific moment is just like one of the most powerful moments in all of, you know, Ethel Cain's music. But I mean, there's a lot to choose from. What's your favorite moment?